book 2 about the Jackie's Literary Corner. I figured it was a good time to do a literary update number 6. So, I knew it wouldn't last. My staycation is over, or not officially over, because I still will have until next Thursday, but they asked me to come into work tomorrow early, and I will be there most of the day, which is fine. You know, when I just responded to Terry, to me, it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, it's not the end of the world. Because I'm one of the few, I was just thinking about this, how, I actually like I don't hate my job. It's not an ideal job, but I like the people I work with. And it's kind of nice to sometimes talk to the customers briefly. I mean, yeah, I sometimes will get annoyed, and I can get cranky, especially if I have to get there early in the morning. Although, if I get there early enough, then it means I get off a little earlier, although not tomorrow. Tomorrow's 9 to, they asked me to, well, actually they asked me 9 to 4, but then my parents suggested, well, how about 9 to 3 instead? Because, Tanisha was even saying that, well, you really want to do all those hours? Because I just realized how long those hours are. And I think I got the impression that it meant they're gonna have me sanitize the carts again, because it said something about sanitation, and I didn't hear it all because I was all kind of to negotiate the hours with my parents at the time, so I didn't hear everything. But I think she said something about sanitation. So in other words, cleaning the carts, I think. But yeah, so today I'm definitely going to make sure that I get a lot of reading. Do not waste the day like I did yesterday. Yesterday I felt like I kind of wasted the day. I mean, it's not like I didn't do anything that I wanted to do, that I didn't want to do. I mean, and I wasn't like just sitting around eating crap. It feels like when it's really rainy days, you just feel like being lazy. And it's been really raining hard the last couple days. And it's actually, finally, the sun has emerged. Mr. Sun has finally come out today. So it's cool out. It's a little cool out. So I'm wearing capris and a quarter sleeve shirt with this thing. Which I love this outfit. I really like this outfit. I find it really cute. And I don't know why. I like the idea of something like, I guess it kind of reminds me of like someone like casting a spell or something, like a wizard or something with a cloak. I think that's what it reminds me of a little bit. Like with the sleeves that are dangling and all that. So I'm definitely going to make sure I get a lot of reading done. So I did watch Frozen 2 again for like the 4, I think it's been 4 times now. 4 or 3 times, I don't know. But like I said last time, I love that movie. It's so fun, and I don't know why anyone would not like it. But, I mean, everyone has their opinions and their tastes, so I think it's a great movie. And last time, I just remembered last time there's something that I didn't talk about, which is, I wanted to mention that I love, like, I already said I loved all the music, but, I really, like, I remember people brought up that Kristoff kind of has an 80s ballad type song, and I want to say people thought it was kind of weird, but the way they did it was a little weird, but I think it was an homage to the 80s music videos, the way they did it, and I thought it was kind of cute and really sweet. It's like kind of a sad song, because Kristoff and Anna are not in a good place right now, so, in the movie, and so I kind of liked it. I liked the whole, and it was really cool. I watched the music video for that one, and then the music video for the one that's most known, Into the Unknown. That's the most famous. I think that's the most famous one. It's kind of like this Frozen 2's version of Let It Go, where it's the song that every little girl tries to sing, but because they're little girls, it's harder for them to remember. They just love the part where Into the Unknown, and I cannot sing. I sound better when I can sing better when my voice can be hidden by the artist, the actual singer's voice. Then I sound fine. But, yeah, I watched the music videos on the DVD, and it's really cool that it's Panic at the Disco who does their version. They cover Into the Unknown, and then the band Weezer I think they're from the 80s and 90s. That's when they started. I think probably the 90s, and they cover that song that Kristoff sings. And so I watched the music video for it, and it's really cool because Kristen Bell was actually in the video. Kristen Bell, the voice of Anna, was in the video, so that was really cool. I'm glad they got her to be part of it, part of the video, like actually have her in it instead of like, and I like how the guy, actually the lead singer, dressed up like Kristoff, and then the reindeer, like Sven and the other reindeer, because there's other reindeer that come into the story. They're his band members represent them, which I think that was really cool. But that is such a great movie, and it's so fun, and I love the music. And Terry is right, there are more songs in this one, like we were talking about last night. Because again, she saw it, but she kind of fell asleep when she watched it. And I think and I said, my opinion is that she probably just came off work. She doesn't remember when she watched it, but I know that she just came off work. I'm assuming that she just came off work, so she was probably really tired when she watched it, and probably just wanted to put something on to keep her entertained. And if she comes, we don't know. Who knows what's going to happen in phase 2 of trying to open everything up again. And deal with and try to ease us back into the swing of things. I keep trying to tell her, like, we don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I understand that she wants to come and see me, or she's disappointed by the convention, but I'm trying to not, get all upset and bothered if I can't go, because then it's not gonna help me. It's just gonna make me more upset, and I don't want to be upset. I want to just accept the reality of the situation, that I probably won't be able to go. I mean, it'll be disappointing because there are some actors that the actors from the Magicians TV show, I want to really meet them. I was excited to meet them. So yes, I am disappointed, but the reality is that it's probably not going to happen. So I would rather not, because I'm not going to feel all that great if I'm dwelling on my disappointment. But, and that comes from, I like to believe that comes from maturity. But anyway, so as far as reading goes, like I said, I'm trying to make sure I get a lot of reading done today, and I'm off to a pretty decent start, knock on wood. As you saw, I am reading another Stephen King, and that is one of his story collections. I don't know if these would be considered novellas or short stories, but I'm reading the first book, 1922, which was made into, I don't know if it was a series or TV movie. I imagine it was probably a movie, because I don't know how they would drag this down to a series. I mean, it's one thing if it's an actual series, then yeah, you could drag it into it. You obviously could make it a TV series, not just a movie franchise, but actual, you could drag that out more easily, at least I think you could, than something like this. So the first story, 1922, is about this farmer in this farmer in okay, I don't know where they live originally, but it's this farmer and his wife, and his wife Arlette proposes that, I'm trying to see if I can see if it says in the beginning. Okay, it doesn't say, but Hemingford, Nebraska. They live in Nebraska. Okay. And his wife wants to sell their acres of land, which I'm still confused. I think it belongs to her. It belonged to her father, but she doesn't really care about working the land as much as her husband James does. And he does not like this idea. This kind of makes him snap, and he does not like the idea of her selling the land and them moving to the city of Omaha. And so they have a son, and he talks his son into killing his wife But this leads them to a downward spiral, where eventually his son, who's a teenage boy, a 15-year-old boy, gets his longtime girlfriend that he loves very much, gets her pregnant, and everything falls apart. It's very interesting and very, a lot, of course, really gritty because, considering what it's about. And, of course, there's rats in the story. I feel like he always kind of puts a rat in a lot of his stories, really, because I believe Stephen King himself is afraid of rats. He thinks they're pretty creepy. And it's an interesting, very realistic story, and it's hard to really sum it up. And I don't mean as in it's a bad story or I feel like it's a blah story or anything. It's just, it's pretty realistic, and it really looks at how far, that we all have darkness in us, which I think a lot of his novels, kind of touch on that, especially because he does write about regular people that you could see in the real world. And how, if given the opportunity, how dark can they go? How far down this path of villainy will they go? Like, we all have that potential. I think that this particular one, I'm sure all these other ones also will be touching on the idea of that. Like, I imagine it's kind of the theme of this particular collection. I don't know for sure, but, by the descriptions of what each story is about, the brief descriptions, it sounds like that's kind of the main theme around between all these stories, that these people make very bad choices, and they can't, they seem like very normal people, very normal, rational people, but then they are thrown a monkey wrench and makes bad choices. And it leads to this domino effect where everything falls apart. And I have such so with the whole story about his son and everything and his girlfriend, I have such, on the one hand, they are very young, they're teenagers, and they're probably not ready for the responsibilities of becoming parents. But then on the other hand, part of me, the more hopeful, young, innocent part of my brain is kind of wants it to have a fairy tale. Yes, I already saw that. Hopes that everything will work out between them. The idealist in me hopes that things will work out between the two teenagers. But the more practical part of me is they're very young, and I'm feeling that their parents or at least their parents will not, especially their dads will not, in fact, especially her dad will not be happy about that and won't let them get away with it. But, who knows if they go far enough away. You never know. They might actually get away with it. It's just that she might be disowned in her family for running away with him. And even James tells Henry, the son, he tells him, if you guys do that, to me, you're being stupid. But it's a very interesting story so far. And a very dark story. It's talking about murdering someone, but then this is Stephen King. He's known for that kind of stuff. So, anyway, like I said, I don't have a lot to say. Like I said, it's good. Nothing's wrong with the story, And like I said, there's rats in I keep hearing there's, again, he puts rats in the story. It's kind of gruesome too. I don't know if I'll be I want to watch the adaptation, but then another part of me is I don't know if I could handle it. Especially because there's a couple of really gross, disturbing scenes that I just actually seeing them, not just in my imagination, but actually literally having someone giving me the image and not just me trying to use my own imagination, might make it even more or just oh, I can't watch that. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do after I read this, if I'm gonna read another one or not, because they're long, but they're not too long. They're not like novels. So, It's just I'm getting alerted, and I have my iPod Touch is here because I decided to plug it into my computer because I decided to download some songs from Frozen 2 onto my iPod, and now it's like I don't know if it's because the person will type another text message, or if the thing for some reason like, oh, don't forget to look at this text, don't forget, like the machine itself is letting you know, oh, don't forget, you just got this text message, don't ignore it. Like, if you don't open it up and look at it, it's gonna let you know twice, I feel like. But anyway, so yeah. So I'm reading that. I'm halfway. I believe there's 130 pages, and I'm on page 101 right now. So I'm like a little over halfway, I think. So, and then next will be Big. The next story is Big Driver. Nope, it's too far. Okay, next is Big Driver. Yep, next is Big Driver, and the plot of that one involves, it's a mystery about a writer named Tess, and she encounters a stranger in Massachusetts when she takes a shortcut from her book club, coming home from her book club meeting, and the guy, I guess he tries to take advantage of her, and then when she doesn't cooperate, I guess he tries to kill her. I think his short story collections, they seem to take place, most of his novels take place in Maine, but I feel like his short story collections take place in different parts of the United States. I don't think his short stories always take place in Maine like his novels do. Because this one, like I said, takes place in Massachusetts, and then Big Driver takes place in Massachusetts, and then what do you call it? I forgot what it's called. And then 1922 takes place in Nebraska. So my only thing is I keep forgetting that it takes place in the 1920s. Like, I keep forgetting, I keep picturing these characters in modern, like, dressed like today's farmers would dress. Like, I keep forgetting that it's in the 20s, so there's a little bit of a period style to their wardrobe and to the way they think and stuff. And one other thing I want is, like, I'm very mixed, also on the whole fact they got the girl pregnant, because on the one hand, especially considering now what's going on in the world now as far as with women and stuff and the Me Too movement, part of me feels guilty that I'm questioning the female character and feeling like, okay, they're acting like she's so innocent. It takes, as the dad said, it takes two to tango, but then at the same time, the Henry had said, well, not in a mean way, but he does say, well, she kind of asked for it. And that's a bit of a messed up statement. It's like saying a girl always, it's like saying if a girl dresses and shows a little bit of skin, like wears a skirt or something, or a V-neck top, then, oh, she's asking for it. So that bothered me. That annoyed me. But at the same time, it's like, we don't know what happened between the two of them. I mean, was she like, okay, I'm ready to have sex with you? Did she agree to it? But then again, maybe she felt pressure to agree to having sex with him. Or maybe she even felt guilty because she, as far as she knows, his mom ran out on him. That's the story he told. And of course, he's a teenage boy. Not that excuses a teenage boy for taking advantage of a girl. But it's like, is she really all that innocent? But maybe she is really innocent. But I don't, maybe she really didn't want anything, or maybe, because we don't know the whole story. We just know that he ended up getting her pregnant, and he feels horrible. He feels guilty and wants to marry her. He wants to marry her, but her dad's like, no, my daughter's going to school, getting an education. And part of me can't blame her dad and mom for feeling that way, you know? Because she's so young and everything. They want her to not end up like them. But he also offers to marry her. Henry wants to marry her and be, be her husband, a father to her child, to the child he gave her, he created inside of her. He wants to, so I don't know. I have definitely very mixed feelings about the situation, and I'm very conflicted about who's really to blame, if they're both to blame, or maybe I'm just excusing because if she's a girl and the whole Me Too movement. But then at the same time, it's like, guys do tend to not always like, but it's so I don't know how I feel. I'm very conflicted on this situation. Which I hope bringing that up doesn't start anything where, that. By the way, I hope bringing this up doesn't start anything, people getting mad at me or anything about it, like me thinking the way I do. Because like I said, I have very mixed feelings about it, about this aspect of the plot. Because it's like, who's in the right here? Who's the most guilty party? Or maybe they're both guilty, or maybe, But like I said, I don't want to get anyone upset about it and feel like I'm taking sides or something, or how dare you, I don't mean it like, I do not mean it like that. I'm being honest here, and I just say that I have mixed feelings, and I feel like it's kind of a two-way street kind of situation. But anyway, before I get too far into that, I don't know if I'm gonna read Big Driver after this or not. I mean, even if these novellas or short stories are kind of long, I still got, I think 2 weeks left of the month, so I could get it in. I could get another short story in there. So I'm also reading Way of Kings, which I know I will not get done. I am farther along in it, than last time. You can see it's very well read. You can see how, like, broken spine and stuff. As long as the pages do not come out of the book and the pages don't tear, I don't mind it if it's kind of falling. It's kind of little like this. As long as it doesn't mess up the pages don't come out or anything, and the book doesn't fall apart that much, then it's good. But hopefully I won't have another situation like with It, where I had to buy a whole new edition of It. But So, I'm working through this very slowly. I'm, like, getting through this very slowly. But we've had, once again, we have not gone back to Shallon, the female character that went to, be a scholar with the king's sister, Jasna. I have not gone back to her yet. It's mostly focused on Kaladin and Dalinar. And Dalinar is still, he's starting to prepare his son to take his place, because eventually he might have to retire, or he might pass away, I think. And although I don't think they're going to kill off the character. I don't think Brandon Sanderson is going to kill off the character, because I don't think, maybe. I don't know, actually, because I feel like you can never tell with Brandon Sanderson. That's how good he is, I feel like. You can't really tell what he's going to do with the characters, if he's going to kill someone off or not. But, and that's just my opinion. I recently watched a video on one of Daniel Green's hot take videos, and someone made a comment about Brandon Sanderson and saying, I think he's a little overrated. And Daniel was saying, I kind of agree, or at least I agree to the extent of that's part of the problem, is that everyone has these high opinions of Brandon Sanderson, that they don't look at him unbiasedly. So people feel pressured to read his work. And I personally I love Brandon Sanderson. I love what I read of so. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, and I don't mean to pressure anyone to read it. I just talk about it because I loved what I read so far. And I don't understand why people don't like Elantris as much as his other works. But anyway, so back to Way of Kings. So, let's see, okay, I'm talking about Dalinar, and he's kind of preparing his son for, to take his place, and his son is a little concerned. He's like, what's going on? Why are you Why are you wanting me to interrogate these people? Why don't you want me to do this job? And he's also, his son is also Adolin, I think he's also feeling guilty because he sees how exhausted his father is and how he's getting on in years. And I think he feels guilty because he was lecturing his father and saying, kind of snapped at his dad and be like, stop being crazy. Stop talking about these visions like you believe in them. They're not real. Like, you're delusional. And I have such, on the one hand, I want them to be real, but on the other hand, I don't. These visions keep telling him to trust Thaddeus, and I don't trust him. Like his son, I don't trust Thaddeus, the High Prince. And so I'm like, I want his visions to be real, but at the same time, it's like, can you really trust Thaddeus? Like, I always want, when some character has, some magical thing, in a story like this happening, in a story like this when something magical is going on or something that seems like delusion or crazy, then I keep thinking, I want it to be real, but then at the same time, if it results in someone trusting someone that they shouldn't trust, or that I don't trust, and I don't know if you shouldn't trust them, then yeah, I'm gonna. Of course, Brandon Sanderson, his characters are a lot more complicated. They're not black and white. There's no, there are plenty of gray areas. So Thaddeus, at the moment, seems like you can't trust him, and he's a bit of villainous or antagonistic at the most. But we don't know for sure. Maybe he's just someone he believes he's in the right, and he doesn't see himself in that way as an antagonist for Dalinar. But then he keeps saying things to him, you almost feel like he's trying to provoke the guy. But maybe, we don't know though, maybe he's trying to provoke him because he thinks the Blackthorn, the way it was before, is a better warrior, a better fighter, and he's like, you need to become that guy again, and maybe that's why he's provoking him a little bit, he's trying to push him to become that man again. And we don't know if he's trying to make him look bad, or just trying to get him to be that guy again, just because that guy is a better fighter. And I don't know. We do not know yet, which is good. You should know. We should be keep. Brandon Sanderson, in my opinion, keeps you on your toes really well. And then with Kaladin, he's still trying to win over the rest of the Bridgemen, and they don't trust him, they don't like him, they don't like how he's pushing them to do, they blame him for them being put in jobs that they don't want to do, that are a little bit too much work for them. But he has, at least 3 of the guys are his friends and trust him and think he's think he's worth being a leader and following, even though he's so young. Yeah, let's see, which does it say their names? I think we're still. Yeah, okay, Teft is one of them, Dunny is another, and then Rock. Dunny, Teft, and Rock, I think, are the only 3 that are kind of on his side. I think Rock is the guy that, kind of like that mysterious, worldly figure that's a lot wiser than he looks, but some people think he's dumb because he doesn't interact the way everyone else does. He doesn't fit the way they see things because he's from another part of the world. Because the way he, it's always doesn't come off as proper English with the way he talks because he's from, another part of this world. But he's a lot smarter than people give. And I think Rock is the one that can actually see the Spren too. Kaladin, he can see Syl as well as Kaladin can. And I think for a moment, I don't know if it was Teft or Dunny who also saw the Spren for a moment. And we also get a little bit more background about the character. We learn more about him being a warrior, or how it felt for him to be a warrior, a soldier, because he comes across a spear and starts playing with it, and for a moment he forgets where he is and starts showing off his skill. And I think that is kind of what gets people's attention, the other bridgemen's attention, because they realize, oh, maybe Gaz is wrong about this guy. Maybe he is a warrior, because he shows he's good with a spear, and he knows how to use it. Because right before it, he picked up the spear, and some of the other guys were like, like, oh, play, Gaz says you claim you're a badass warrior, but it's like, I bet that's all crap, kind of thing. And then he has this moment where he gets lost in the memory of being a soldier, and he does all these movements with the spear, and they're all watching him. And of course, he didn't want them to see that. Because he doesn't want Gaz to get suspicious of him, and he wants to keep, make himself look like easy prey, and he wants to throw off his enemy, which is Gaz, the guy who just kind of runs the whole thing. I'm trying to, I picture Gaz looking like, kind of like, I don't know. I had an image in my head what Gaz would look like, because I love watching movies and TV shows, I always have picture like those people as the character. As I usually pick one from a movie or TV show I love, and if they have a similar role to the character that I'm reading about, like in Warbreaker, I picture some characters in the Magicians TV series who were kind of like when Elliot and Margot, or Janet, I think in the book she's actually called Janet, but when they're ruling Fillory, they're in their castle, and they have these two advisors that help them, and that's how I pictured some of the people, like, I can't remember the character's name, Bluefingers, that's his name. That's how I picture looking like one of those guys. Bluefingers is probably the, I don't remember these characters' names from the show anyway, but the guy that's a little more, has a thicker body, he's currently on another show at the moment. I cannot remember his name, but he was the main guy in the palace, and then there's this tall, skinny guy, and I pictured him being the brother to him, looking like the brother who, picture him looking like the guy who helps Lightsong, kind of his priest. The tall, skinny guy, I picture looking like that, his Lightsong's priest looking like that guy. If that makes any sense. If you guys figured out where I was getting at. But anyway, but yeah, that's why I like to pick and choose actors that I think would play the characters in the book, or at least those characters would look like those actors. Because I watch movies and TV shows, and I say, use your own imagination and all that. Well, if I don't have an actor in mind, then it's just, they look like blah, they look like a cartoon character or something, or they don't look like anything. And then I also finally started reading Time of Contempt, because for my birthday, a week ago, I got book 3 and 4. Although technically, if you count the short stories, they are book 4 and 5, if you count the short stories of this series. So I figured now would be good motivation to start reading Time of Contempt. This is the second, if you separated from the short stories, this would be book 2, but it would be book 3 if you count the two short story collections. And I do believe for people like Elliot Brooks and Daniel Green, this is not their favorite book in the series, I don't think. So I'm glad I have the next set of books, because if it's not my favorite, then it'd be kind of frustrating if I cannot get the next 2 books in the series. And this time, it's not because, I haven't asked for a ride to go there. It's because I can't go there. Although that one might be open. My Books A Million might actually be open, because there's not really, it's more like a typical small store where you're just walking around and it's not that big, and you're not sitting around. But I don't know, you're not sitting around drinking coffee. You might just go in and go out. So I don't know if it's open. I would be kind of curious if it's open. But I'm not going to ask someone to drive me up there. I would probably have to look it up, which I should do that. I should check. I could potentially look it up and see if it is open. But anyway, I know the roast office is not open, because that has a coffee place. But I know some of the stores, ones that don't require a lot of sitting down and you can separate yourself from people easily, you can do the 6 feet, eat more easily, those stores are open. At places like hair salons, nail places, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, or places, stores with cafes and stuff. Those are not open yet. I think those might be opening yet during phase 2. But we'll see what happens during phase 2 though. So let's see what is going on in this one. Okay, so there's still Ciri has been sent to be taken in by Yennefer, and Geralt is on his own again, trying to protect her in his own way. And I think he had his first battle with a monster in the beginning of the story, where he what is it called? He fights a I can't remember what the monster. Sorry, I'm trying to find what the monster is. What they explained the monster was. He has to fight one of his first monsters. And there's this guy. And there's this, it starts with, not with Geralt though, but it starts with this guy named, Applegat. He is traveling, he's a messenger. And he's like some kind of messenger on the road, and he bumps into these people that were from wherever the monster was attacking. And he bumps into Ciri and Yennefer, not realizing who they really are. And then we get to Geralt, and he's gone to these Codringer and Fen for help. He's gone to these guys, and they inform him of they keep him up to date with what's going on. And I don't remember why he needs their help. What exactly does he need them to do or something? Which I'm going to do some reading today. I'm going to read a little bit today. Read a little bit more of this today. And I think I'm going to also bring this one along with David Copperfield outside because it's sunny, like I said, so I can sit outside and read. And then I got to let the dogs out anyway, which I hope nothing has happened since. I don't know when's the last time they got let out. And then I also finished Barchester Towers, which I loved. I definitely loved it a little bit more than the other one. It is such a great book. Once again, there's church politics involved. And as you know, and there's a bit of the secondary plot is a romance for Eleanor. Because I'm just going to spoil you a little bit for the warden and say that Eleanor's husband, the guy she marries in the warden, passes away eventually, which that's life. And she has 3 guys who want to marry her. 2 of them, it's generally because of, she's really wealthy. She gets, I don't know if it would be £12,000 or £1,200. I think it's 12,000. She has a lot of money that she's inherited from her husband John Bold. And her only comfort is her son, Johnny. That's the only, in the beginning of the story, she's not interested in anyone romantic. She's just perfectly content with having her son to keep her company. But, of course, you can't be an unmarried woman back then, apparently. So, like I said, she has 3 guys that are fighting for her that want to marry her. 2 of them, I think it's for the traditional reason of, she's wealthy, I need a wife kind of mentality. And then the other guy, he generally falls in love with her. But, Grant still drives me nuts. Oh, I cannot stand, not Grant, Dr. Grantley. Dr. Grantley, I still cannot stand him. He's not as much of an antagonist as I felt like he was in The Warden. But in this one, I just still want to punch his face because he's such a, like, so judgmental and thinks because he has this whole mentality of Eleanor does not have a brother and her father's not very good at teaching her right from wrong, blah, blah, blah. Her father's very passive. But he's a good father, in my opinion. But he's not very assertive with his daughter in Grantley's eyes. So he's like, well, I'm going to give her some advice and be all condescending and tell her what I think and what she should do and how she brings shame to this family and how she cannot come part of this. But you gotta love Harding, her dad, because he's like, even if he doesn't like who Eleanor chooses for a husband, he will still be loyal to her no matter what, even if one of the options is someone that he really cannot stand, that he hates, that considers the enemy. He will still love his daughter and be loyal to her. Yeah, he may be disappointed in her choice if she chooses this guy, but he will still love her. He will still be loyal to her. She will not be isolated from her father. And Grantley just keeps trying to make her feel like, I think he's doing I don't know if he's doing it to scare her or what, or if he really does believe that Hardy would turn his back on her. But although Hardy told him, no, I wouldn't. So sometimes I'm wondering if he's just doing it to scare her. But he's making it seem like her father would also turn his back on her, and he will not do that. He would not turn his back on his daughter and betray her even if she married someone that he does not like and considers an enemy. And Grantley just so arrogant, and like he thinks he's so superior and knows what's best for everyone. And then of course his wife Susan, Eleanor's sister, is like, my husband's right. And on the one hand, yeah, I kind of like, of course she'll be loyal to her husband because he's her husband now. But I mean, and women did not have a lot of agency in this time period, and which is why I love Eleanor, because she's very feisty and stands up for herself and knows what she believes in and does not let anyone push her around. Although when she does do things that she knows are inappropriate, she does for women at the time, she's like, oh my god, I cannot believe I did that. I should not have done that. You know, she feels really upset, even if it was well-deserved, because she does do something that is definitely well-deserved, but she feels like, oh, I should not have done that. That was so wrong of me to do that. Well, that will make me look unwomanly and stuff like that, because she can't help it, how she thinks. Like, it's not her fault that society's made women think that. Like, you know, even if it was deserved. I mean, the only crime Eleanor is guilty of is she's a bit naive. You know, she's a bit naive, but other than that, she's not a bad person. She knows her beliefs, and she sticks by them. And you know, she has a lot of pride. She's not a perfect character. She's very flawed, but she's a likable character. You know, and you just want to help her and get her to realize, honey, I know you're a good, kind person, but they're not entirely wrong when they say you should not marry this guy. And at the end of the day, she's not going to anyway. She's not interested in one of the two of the suitors. She is not interested in either one of them. But anyway, and once again, the writing style is very charming and endearing, but but then again, as I've said before, it does kind of spoil things. He does, like, the narrator, Trollop's narrator voice is like, oh, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine for these characters, everything's gonna work out. And it's like, well, I know you don't tell me. It's like, yeah, he doesn't tell you the specific details of how things are gonna work out, but it's like, you're telling me, you're confirming to me. It's kind of a hint of a spoiler that's saying, oh, everything's gonna work out, don't worry, and it's gonna be a happy ending. Of course, with books like this, you kind of can guess that, okay, everything's gonna work out for these characters in the end anyway. A book like this is always gonna end on a happy note. Unless, you're told otherwise that this author's work, like Tom Sarney. I was told otherwise that, okay, his books are going to be very depressing. They're not always going to work out. The characters are not going to always have a happy ending. But that's not Trollop's intention. He's writing stories that probably back then might have been considered sensationalism. Or stories like how today we read Sarah J. Maas. Or Brandon Sanderson, where there's like fun and people don't always take them seriously because they're not considered serious literature, which really annoys me and is very snobbery. I mean, like, I can't stand snobbery. I mean, and like, I don't personally if you like romance, if you like reading the romance genre, because I like some romance and I like romance in my story, so that's the genre you read, because Terry reads romance. And that's fine with me. My only frustration, if I get annoyed, is because, like, I've told her in the past, I've said this before, that on videos, I believe, that I just want to share my books with her, and I can't do that because she has different tastes than me, and she's a little more picky. So it's like it's hard for me to share books with her because I don't know if she's going to like them, and she also wants to get to know the story a little bit more and get to know the characters, just to read a little bit of it. So, like, I recommend it. I think she might like this series, the Barchester series. Maybe I think she might like it, but then she's like, okay, well, just send it to me and I'll just look at it. And I think she's going to Books A Million today because her Books A Million, I think, is open. I imagine is open in her town. I don't know, though. I don't know what's going on in Florida, but I mean, she said she's going to go, so I'm assuming it's open. And her brother's saying, her brother's like, okay, you can go and come. Like, her brother seems to be okay with it because it's kind of her brother because he's the oldest male in the family, so I think he kind of takes charge and takes on the father-in-law role, so he makes a lot of the decisions, I think, in the family. And I feel like he was like, you shouldn't come see your mom considering what's going on right now. This virus and everything. He was like the one saying that. So he's like so I guess he was like, oh, okay, it's cool, you can come visit mom. Because of course he doesn't want his mom to get sick because she's one of the people who could easily get sick. But anyway, so I told her, so she said she was going to go to Books A Million this weekend, in the next 2 days, one of these days. So I hope she has better luck and find. I mean, her Books A Million I think is a little bit bigger. Of course, I haven't seen it and she hasn't confirmed it, but I mean, I get the impression that hers is a little bit bigger, especially because it has a cafe in it and mine doesn't. So I get the impression hers is bigger. So maybe she'll have better luck. I don't know. But I definitely feel like Trollope is not as popular as Dickens or Austen as far as classic goes. But I would show you guys the book when I'm talking about it, but it's on my telephone. It was hard for me to get it in there. It's up there. And I had a hard time getting the book, even inserting it into the shelf. I'm at the point where I need to start getting rid of books again, so I did take a few books that I looked at Goodreads reviews and read the reviews. I didn't just look at the star rating. I actually will read the reviews. And that's how I decide. If it's a book I haven't read, that's how I decide, okay, if what the reviews say and what the star ratings say, then that's how I decide okay, I'll just get rid of this book. I'm not going to. That's probably why I don't have any books I have very few 1-star or 2-star ratings. Because usually the books I keep are books that I'm still interested in. And then I also will get rid of books, like if it's a series, then I will take those off the shelf. I might set those aside in a place where I'm not going to get rid of them just yet, but they have potential to be gotten rid of eventually. But it's hard because I'm feeling this pressure to get rid of them so I can make room for more books, because it's not like I'm going to stop buying books ever. So, and I'm never going to get another shelf space. My mom's not going to get me another shelf. If I buy another shelf, I'm going to have to buy it myself. So, and even then she might be like, do you really need another shelf? But, because I have two shelves, but I have a lot of books, like over 100, I think over 100 now. But anyway, so that is what's going on with my reading. I'm gonna make sure I get a lot of reading done today, and I'm going to make myself a spam sandwich. I think, yeah, because it's almost 1 o'clock, and I think I'm gonna make another cup of coffee because I'm already kind of feeling a little tired again. So I think I'm gonna have a cup of coffee. And the good news is my mom is not here to make me feel guilty, because she's like saying you don't need another cup of coffee. Although now that I'm in my 30s and stuff, and I think she's like doesn't say anything anymore. She might disapprove of it, but she's not gonna, because I'm a grown woman, so I can do what I want. I mean, she'll still have an opinion about my health, my food, health habits. Like, she wants to make sure I run on a daily basis. Sometimes it's just hard to run because I just don't feel like it. And then she also is like, do you really need that extra pancake? Do you really need a third pancake, or do you really need another biscuit? So she'll still have an opinion, but I don't think she's going to say anything when I decide to get another cup of coffee, but it makes me feel a little bit better when she's not here to make me feel bad. if I get another cup. Okay, so if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post new videos. I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!